What is up, Retcon fam? It is your boy Trey,
And your boy Jay.
and this is the Retcon Roundup, where we discuss movie news and rumors that are, prevalent on the internet right now.
Chill.
But so if you have not, please do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, make sure you comment. It's the one thing that you can do for free. We're giving that away, so be
Right.
sure to make sure that you get that done for us. But really, without further ado, Hall H was on fire this weekend, right, with San
Man,
Diego Comic-Con, and
like,
everybody's talking about it. And Marvel made some huge reveals regarding the future of the MCU. Probably
hmm
the biggest story to come out of that is it's really a two-parter. One, the Russo brothers are officially returning and will be
hmm
directing what is
hmm
now Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. And we
hmm
found out that none other than Robert Downey Jr. himself will be
Yeah,
returning as Doctor Doom.
man. Woo! Woo!
So, it has been confirmed.
hmm
Uh, Now, what we did learn is that
hmm
he won't be returning as a variant of Tony Stark,
Mm-mm.
but
Mm-mm.
he will actually be Victor Von Doom. Um,
Mm.
do you think this is the right move?
Well, the first off, I'm just shocked. I was like,
Yeah,
because we hear the rumors,
yeah,
and then now it was true, but definitely not in the way we expected it, right?
yeah, right.
I gotta think. Look, Mickey Mouse himself must have cracked open the safe and like, listen, here's some of my life savings. Give it to Robert Downey Jr. Get
Yeah,
him back in,
yeah,
however that looks. Y'all work out the schematics on that. I don't care. Just get him back. We need to do something. I mean, this right here screams out, okay, full tilt pivot on Marvel's
yeah,
behalf because they need to get out of this I guess what you can call it up until this point, up until Deadpool and Wolverine, this multiverse funk that they've been
yeah,
in, right?
yeah,
So now we have Robert Downey Jr. coming back. It's official. It's not a variant of Tony Stark. It is Victor Von Doom. I'm holding out still that this is a variant of Victor Von Doom. You know,
yeah,
because like there's too many variables in here that that support that assumption of mine, right? Because we have in the comic books there was infamous Iron Man, which was Victor Von Doom, who took on the legacy of Iron Man after Tony Stark, quote unquote, passed away.
hmm
So this could be Victor Von Doom being his version of Iron Man, still
yeah,
being Doom. I mean, he was still Doom, and he didn't even go by Iron Man, and he was, but that's what they labeled him because he had the armor that pretty much was reminiscent of Iron Man.
yeah,
Um, with that being said, if this is not a variant of Victor Von Doom in any type of way, then it's going to be interesting. The
yeah,
the issue people will have is separating Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark from his Victor Von Doom. Um,
yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
for it. You know, again, I'm just like, oh, I mean, yeah, you really want to make a splash. I mean, what better way than to get RDJ back?
yeah. And it seemed like a move that they had to make. They had to make this move. Kind of you
Mm-hmm.
alluded to it before, prior to Deadpool and Wolverine,
Mm-hmm.
like Marvel was missing, man, and they were missing pretty bad. I think
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
the I think the Marvels was the last MCU movie that they put out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, right. Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And it
Correct.
grossed the lowest of any MCU movie.
That's correct. Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
so they
Mm-hmm.
needed something like this to make a splash. Like I was thinking about this, and you made a really, really good point
Mm-hmm.
about it being a variant of Doom and not a variant of Stark,
Right. 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 Right.
which
Right.
leads me to my next question. How do you make this make sense? And one of the things that I thought about was
Mm-hmm.
how is Peter going to react when he sees Victor Von Doom the first time?
Yeah. Right. Right. So it's like, so see, that's another lingering question. Like, so if he's supposed to be Victor Von Doom, and not be Tony Stark in any type of way, then to my understanding, then they're not going to react like, oh, this is Tony. He's
Right.
Doctor Doom. They're going to react to him like he is Victor Von Doom. Um, but I just like, I don't know. Like, this is really tough. Again, there's too many questions lingering. But the thing about it is, Marvel is if not anything, very strategic because it got
Yeah.
us talking, it got us hyped,
Yeah.
it got us. They know we're gonna go see this just to see what they talking about,
Yeah.
which means there may be clues and tidbits that maybe some breadcrumbs that may be littered in other MCU movies going forward that may allude to more answers as to what this Iron Doom, I call him Iron Doom, what this
Yeah. Yeah.
Iron
Yeah.
Doom is going to look like.
Yeah.
So but they got to make it make sense,
Yeah.
because you don't want to drop the ball, especially with someone of RDJ's caliber,
Hmm.
especially since your boy just came off winning an Oscar, so
I'm
now you
telling
got
you. Yeah.
Academy Award winner Robert Downey Jr. in the MCU again.
Yeah. Again. Yeah. So we can actually jump to another subject, but tie it back into this.
Hmm.
So the Fantastic Four, they
Yeah.
presented at Hall H at Comic-Con, and we
Yes.
found out that the title of the movie is going to be Fantastic Four First Steps.
Okay. Yep.
Um,
Hmm.
so they showed a first look. I didn't really watch the first look just because it was, they showed it at Comic-Con. It was really difficult to see. It was one of
Yeah, I
those
didn't see
things
it
like
either.
I always
Yeah.
feel weird anyway because it's like that wasn't meant for us to see it anyway. So I don't really know how I feel about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to tie it back into what we were talking about, those breadcrumbs, well,
Yeah.
we know that the only so Fantastic Four is in between now and Avengers Doomsday.
Yes. Hmm.
Tony is see, I called him Tony.
See? Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, it's gonna be
Victor
tough.
Von Doom is is primarily known as a Fantastic Four villain, and certainly the relationship between him and Richards is
Oh man.
essential.
Yes. Without a
Do
doubt.
you? And we know that the Fantastic Four movie is set in an alternate universe and it's set in the
Mhm.
60s.
Yeah. Okay.
What better way to introduce Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom?
Yeah, that'll be the only thing I can think of that would make sense with Robert
Yeah,
Downey Jr. being Doom, and then he somehow finds himself on the main what they call the sacred timeline. Yeah,
yeah,
that could be the only way. Because yeah, you can't, as you said, Doom and Reed, they go hand in hand. They're yin and yang. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Salt and pepper. You can't separate them two. You can't have one without the other. So I think
yeah,
that'll be a great setup for Marvel. They got to set it up that way. My interest in my thing is like it's because it's set in the 60s. What's that gonna look like?
yeah,
Time period movies sometimes, to me, in my opinion, they can hit and miss just
yeah,
depending on how it's set up and how they do well with it. Like Captain Marvel, set in the 90s. I'm like, that was straight, but to me, Captain Marvel wasn't a big splash. To
yeah,
me, and I'm sorry for those who rave Captain Marvel in their top five, but no, it's barely on my top 10. It's not even in my top 10.
yeah,
But that movie did a billion, and it wasn't because it was set in the 90s. It was because it was riding the wave of the Infinity War saga, which was
yeah,
coming to an end with the. So when I say that to say this, like they may got to make sure they do it right, because setting in those type of time periods can't win people over overall. Like, it has to be more to it.
yeah.
But from my understanding, I thought Silver Surfer and then Galactus were going to play a role in the movie First Steps. So I don't know if Doom is still going to have his time there anywhere, or they're just all going to keep it bottled up for Doomsday. I don't know.
So the way I kind of looked at it was, you remember when the Thanos breadcrumbs kind of started falling, and it would be
Uh-huh.
like a post-credit scene, or it would be something like that, or we
Hmm.
we knew Thanos was there.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Doom,
Hmm.
Doom is being set up to be the big bad of this next whatever this is. I don't know how, I don't know if we can call it a phase, just because I don't know that
Yeah.
there's going to be enough movies in between, but I do know getting
Hmm.
from Fantastic Four to Avengers Doomsday to Secret Wars, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
going to take
yeah.
some, because I think Secret Wars comes out in like, I'm not sure, I'll have to get the date,
I
but
can't 2026 maybe, or
maybe
27.
2026. So
Yeah,
even if it's
maybe.
2026, so you got Fantastic Four,
Hmm. Hmm.
Doomsday next, both of those have to be next year, I guess.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Then Secret Wars in 2026. There's no movies in between
And
to
Thunderbolts is coming out
oh,
too.
Thunderbolts is coming out. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So it's not what we were used to, where you had 10 years of movies before you got to
right,
Infinity War.
right.
So
Right.
they gotta, if this Doom thing is gonna work, from what I understand, Avengers Doomsday, one of the things that's gonna happen is Doom is going to be the one that ends the Kang thing.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, we kind of already read the terrain on Kane kind of getting phased out as the
Yeah,
main villain due to the actor Jonathan Majors his stuff that he had going on. We all know it is. We ain't got to get into it. But I guess that's also my other thing. So it's like, man, like, because you had audiences already set, like this Kang is gonna be it, and then we were already thinking they're just gonna get somebody else to play Kang, and call
yeah,
him a variant. That was an easy fix. But this
yeah,
is something bold Marvel decided to do, like
yeah,
in the middle. It's like they called an audible in the middle of a game.
yeah,
This is third quarter. This third quarter, so it's like, okay, we got to pull out a Hail Mary, and there was no better Hail Mary than Robert Downey Jr. being Doom. So
yeah,
with fantastic, so yeah, like you said, between right now and then up until that point, yeah, they got to be very meticulous on how they lay the breadcrumbs, making sure they fall into place. Because otherwise, even with a powerhouse like Robert Downey Jr., it could still be a mess if it's not handled the right way.
yeah. Because you don't want it to. You don't ultimately want people. It is a stunt casting, but you don't want it. It's got to pay off. It has to pay off
Yes, yes, yes.
because really there are a few things that you have to think about. One, obviously, Marvel has not been in the good graces of the public over the last couple of years.
Right,
Um,
right,
and the potential rise of DC.
right. Because we all
Th-
saw the trailer for Creature Commandos, did we not?
we all saw
Mm-hmm.
that trailer. We all saw Joker. I mean, obviously, Joker's not in the DCU, but it,
Mm-hmm.
it will be looked at. It's a DC movie.
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
with the emergence of all the behind the scenes stuff or set
Yep.
photos, it
Yep.
seems like the hype for Superman is starting to build a little bit.
Yep.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so you got
Mm-hmm.
those two things that Marvel, you gotta come correct. You didn't really have to compete with DC before. You were
No.
clearly the king of the hill, and DC
Correct.
was chasing you. But the
Correct.
tables may flip here.
It seems like it. The terrain seems like it's reading that way. But we'll see, man. Like with Fantastic Four, and then of course that's a thing in itself. Like, because think about the last Fantastic Four movies we had. We had the first two under Fox with, of course, Chris Evans
Yeah,
and his Human Torch. I point him out because obviously, spoiler alert. He showed up in a hilarious form in Deadpool and
yeah,
Wolverine.
that was
But
really
you
good too.
got those right. So you got those examples of the Fantastic Four, which they weren't spectacular, but they were decent enough. And
Yeah,
then you had the other Fantastic Four where it just was a
terrible.
complete mess. Which if you read up on the director's words on it, it wasn't his fault. He
Yeah,
had other stuff, but they shredded the movie into that little bit, and that's what you got the end result. So
yeah,
there's definitely an expectation, like Marvel. You also got a hit with Fantastic Four because
absolutely.
like the ball has been getting dropped. Now you used to blame it on Fox, like they were the black sheep of the Marvel universe. Like, okay, that
Yeah,
of the family, like, yeah, they did terrible. Okay, now it's you're up to plate, so you got
yep.
to make a home run with it. Otherwise, it ain't them. It might be y'all, man. And who is it then? Like, cause man, like
Right.
if this don't hit, who can get Fantastic Four right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can't like this is not the time to miss.
Right.
Especially with we know the X-Men are coming and we know what that can do for the MCU. So there's so much here that like you have to be able to take advantage of that this is
Yes.
just not
Yes.
the time to fumble the ball. You
No.
cannot do it. And you had the luxury of doing that because you had so much goodwill built up over the last
Correct.
15 years.
Correct.
So you got it. This is the time to win people back over. So
Correct. And
yeah.
hopefully they'll win them over with Brave New World. So that's the next movie up to bat.
Yeah, which brings me to this. All right. Brand new footage was shown of Captain America Brave New World. From the footage, we learned that this movie takes place 2 years after the events of The Eternals, which came out in 2021. Now, the plot reportedly centers around adamantium being found on Celestial Island, which was the body of the dead Celestial that we saw in The Eternals. Um,
Right.
then
Right.
Sam Wilson is tasked by Thunderbolt Ross, who's played by Harrison Ford, with building a
Mm-hmm.
brand new Avengers. But things don't go as expected. So we'll see Isaiah. We know that.
Yep. Love it.
Um,
Love it.
Love it, who was introduced in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
we're also going to see for the very first time the Red
Yes.
Hulk. So
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
all of the things that kind of, because we know that they went back and they reshot the movie, and
Yeah. Yeah.
um, we know that it's completely different than what they, what the initial vision was.
Hmm.
People were
Hmm.
kind of concerned about it, right,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah. Yeah.
information that was coming. But
Hmm.
then we get a trailer, and the trailer is spectacular. It has shades of Winter Soldier. It's
Yeah.
a smaller Marvel movie, which I think we
Yes.
all kind of wanted to see Marvel kind of get back to those smaller films.
Yes. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
with all of those things that have come to play, what
Hmm.
is your excitement level for Captain America?
I have to say my excitement level is kind of the same. It hasn't really like gone up any higher. But I would say that I dig Harrison Ford. I saw that he hulked out when he
Yeah,
came out on stage at the San Diego Comic Con, when they were bringing out the cast of Captain America Brave New World. And
yeah,
I read a comment saying like he more excited for this than he was for Star Wars. I'm like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
dang.
That's real.
So I know his
That's real.
excitement level seems to be up there. Uh,
Yeah,
I love that this is what they're using to introduce adamantium because
yeah,
technically, depending on where you are in the comic books, adamantium, just like vibranium, is a metal that came from the stars. It was
yeah,
from a meteorite, excuse me, and it definitely is out of this world. So it makes sense that they're using this celestial, the one that's Tiamat, to bring in adamantium, which would be a rival to uh, um, vibranium, which of course that's a breadcrumb in itself, which could lead to probably the plot centered around the next Black Panther movie whenever that comes out.
yeah,
I'm excited for Isaiah because man, like I have a crazy theory in my head because if you know about Black Widow, Red Guardian, he kept talking about he fought Captain America, and then the
yeah,
dude in the prison, he was like, Captain America was in ice, so around that time, so you don't know who you fought. What if it was him he fought?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
Isaiah's history right now is still shrouded in mystery. We know that he was the second person to be injected with the serum, but because of his race, they were like, we can't have a black man waving a flag around. So, but we don't know what missions he got in. We know he got into a mission where he went up against Bucky, which was revealed in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
yeah,
So I would love if they dropped that. I would just lose it if they say, okay,
yeah,
so you fought Red Guardian, and
yeah.
I guess, I, man, okay, I guess I got to retract myself because I guess I am getting more excited now. I am getting more excited thinking about it. It's gonna
Right.
be good. And then I see people say it's kind of like a baby sequel to the Incredible Hulk, that had Edward Norton because we got the same
Yeah,
actor being the leader. We
yeah,
got Liv Tyler. She's reprising her role as Betty Ross. And of
yeah,
course, Thunderbolt Ross is in there. So we got those elements. And it kind of, to me, feels like same thing they did with Thor Ragnarok, right?
yeah,
We had Sakaar, which was mostly the storyline in the comic books for Hulk when he
yeah,
became king and such and such. But
yeah,
yeah, the excitement level is there. I love the actors that's going to be up in there. I love the fact that we now know that Juan Carlos Esposito is going to be Sidewinder, so that's pretty cool.
yeah,
Um, and that's probably connecting to what you're about to ask about him, which he is. Sidewinder is part of the Serpent Society, which is
yeah.
an organization not so much different from Hydra, except they're not based off of Nazi
Right,
background. They just
right.
they're criminals pretty much.
Yeah,
Um, they're not really like big up on the chart when it comes to Marvel bad guy organizations, right? Because
yeah,
there's Hydra, then you got the Hand.
yeah.
Serpent Society kind of registers just a little bit low. I mean, because they almost kind of end up being like the butt of the joke in Marvel comics.
Hmm.
With only like maybe one or two character members from that society. But
Yeah,
I like, first of all, Juan Carlos Esposito. He's a great actor. So
great actor.
whatever the role is, I mean, he killed it and as Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian.
Oh
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
if
He
he can
kills it in
handle,
everything.
I mean, seriously, right? Like, I mean, and that's not for those diehards that know him. Like, he killed it back then when he was doing the Spike Lee movies, and
Listen,
like, so come
dude,
on, like, come
listen,
on,
man. People think school days.
right,
Listen,
right,
let's go
right,
back, man.
right. Let's
Yeah,
learn y'all something. Go check your history. We
yeah.
ain't
Let's
new to
go.
this.
We ain't new to this, true to this. Hey, let's go. Yeah, I would agree with you, man. Like I was one of those people. Like listen, I know I can be hard on these movies.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just really wasn't excited for Captain America at all
Hmm.
because I kind of said this before, but I didn't think that
Hmm.
Sam Wilson earned the shield. And listen,
Hmm.
I wanted, truthfully, I wanted Bucky to take
You
the
wanted
mantle.
Bucky. Yeah.
And but listen, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they kind of built a bit more interest in terms of Sam. They built a purpose for him to be Captain America because he was
Hmm.
reluctant to take the shield, and
It
so
was.
he the character didn't necessarily feel like he had earned the shield. And so coming
Hmm.
into this movie with that trailer, man,
Hmm.
um, I'm really, really excited. And even with the Serpent Society,
Hmm.
like you got to have a foil for Captain America to fight, but we
Yeah, yeah.
know what's coming, right? We know Red Hulk
Absolutely.
is who we're actually setting up for,
Right.
and
Right.
like you said, yeah, it's a quasi sequel to the Edward Norton Hulk movie,
Hmm.
which is underrated and doesn't get talked about enough.
Oh well,
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah.
he
Oh
he
yeah.
he he might I might like Edward Norton's Hulk better than I like
Uh-oh.
what's my
Uh-oh.
man
Not Mark Ruffalo.
Mark
No, don't do
Ruffalo.
the Mark right like
I
don't do
might
Mark
like
Hulk
him a
like that.
little bit more, but yeah, no, man, I'm excited about. I think if nothing else, man, like the Marvel panel at Comic Con, it felt. I came away feeling really optimistic about the future of Marvel, and I feel like they have learned from their mistakes. At least I hope they have, and they're
Absolutely.
taking a different approach to whatever this next chapter of Marvel movies are. So, I hope we can
Mhm.
get back to like those grade A Marvel movies.
Yeah, we need it. We need it bad, man. Because yeah, this again, there are spots of good Marvel ones during this saga, and then the rest of them they just we could do without. And that speaks to some of the TV shows that they released as well. So, I don't know what to expect with Ironheart. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
she's so relatively new. There really isn't any type of rogue gallery built up for her, and so obviously, they're using other villains to try to fill that slot, which they're using the Hood, from what I'm understanding,
yeah,
who played a major Avenger villain, and that's my problem that they're doing. That they did that with Kang. They made an Avenger level villain easy enough to get beaten by one of the least
yeah.
powerful members of the Avengers,
Right.
right? So I have that bad feeling that they're doing this with the Hood because he was an Avenger level threat. He was most popular during the New Avengers run when Brian Michael Bendis was writing it,
Hmm.
and I mean, like, he was one of the few who did something better than the Kingpin could do, which was he galvanized a lot of the villains, under his leadership, and was able to actually get them out of jams, before the heroes can pick up on it. Not
Yeah.
to mention during this time, it was like really the fallout after Civil War, and the superhero community had been split anyway. So, he took advantage of that, and he was powered up by Dormammu, right?
Hmm.
So, there was some Doctor Strange connections to him as well that made him a formidable opponent.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to see, like, to me, it feels like it's gonna be nothing but a downgrade to go up against somebody in armor. So I don't have high expectations. I'll eat my words if it ends up being good. But it's to your point, like, Marvel has to get it right. I hope they get it right, continuing going forward, not just with the movies, but with the rest of these TV shows that they're launching.
Yeah. Well, we'll say even with the TV show, because I agree with you with Ironheart. You didn't have enough time in Black Panther 2 to build excitement for that character because
Mm-hmm.
she didn't have to be there. There was
Right.
really
Not
no real reason for her to be there.
not at all.
But we also know that they are kind of holding on to a bit of that darker feel for the Daredevil Born Again series, where
Yes.
they kind of did the same thing with Daredevil that they did with Captain America, where they completely
Mm-hmm.
scrapped whatever their first attempt was to kind of
Mm-hmm.
correct some things and bring it back to where it needed to be. So
Absolutely.
my guess is starting with that, we're going to really get a feel of what Marvel is going to look like in the future. I don't
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
Ironheart is really going to be the show that will tell us anything, to be honest with you. I don't think we're going to
Okay.
get much out of it. I think it'll be a
Gotcha.
show that if it's
Like a
good,
filler.
great. I mean, it'll be like, The Flash.
Yeah.
DC didn't
Ooh.
really care if the Flash was good. It was like, we shot it, let's put it out. We're
Ooh.
moving on to something
Ouch.
different.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully we can do that. So we talked about Robert Downey Jr. coming back, which obviously was the big news of the weekend.
Oh yeah.
But there was
Oh yeah.
also a little movie that came out last week by the name of Deadpool and Wolverine, and I put up my
Woo.
reaction to
Woo.
that movie
Woo.
on when I saw it on Thursday. And thank
Man.
you everybody for the response that you gave that. That was really
Yes.
our first video to go over 200 views. So
Thank you,
thank you so
guys.
much for that.
Absolutely.
What did you think of Deadpool and Wolverine?
I give it a 10 out of 10. So for those who don't know out there watching us, I don't do profanity like that. I had to make an exception because if anything, I knew if I didn't see this movie, spoilers were going to be all over. I wouldn't be able to go up Facebook news feed 1 second without seeing a spoiler. And it was already enough coming out on these trailers. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like, can they keep something? But Trey, you said like if they're showing all this, the stuff that they ain't showing has to be pretty epic.
Yeah.
And you were absolutely right. Where do I begin? Do I start with the dance number for NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye?
Amazing.
I mean,
Amazing.
or can I get into how he took Logan's adamantium skeleton body and used every piece of it as a weapon against the TVA?
Yeah.
Can I get into how it was so excited that he went to look for a Logan and wound up on the variants? I mean,
Yeah.
including is this the Hulk that fights the Wolverine? And they shot the iconic cover of the claws and
Yeah.
with the Hulk reflected from the claws, which was from the Incredible Hulk issue. I can't remember the number, but Todd McFarlane did the design of the cover. It was
Yeah.
dope. So hilarious to see Cavalry, right?
Cavalry. That was interesting.
Oh man, I could really get into it. That's like really the top that did it for me. I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. Of course, the banter was great. I mean, that's what we lived for to see this, like Wolverine and Deadpool, going at it. I mean, the battles were great. R.I.P. to the Fox Marvel verse. That
Yeah.
felt to me like it was a love letter to them.
Yeah.
We had Blade there. I mean, there's so many moments I can't really bottle it all in just the one that really stood out for me. But it was continuously going, like there wasn't a dull moment. So yeah, definitely 10 out of 10 for me. What about you?
Yeah. I gave it an 8.3, I think is what the score I
uh,
landed on. And it was
okay.
only because now listen, here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
If Dark Knight is my 10,
Yeah. Okay.
then I have to ask the question, did I think it was as good as the Dark Knight? And no, I
Oh,
didn't think that it was as good as the
that's your
Dark Knight.
okay, that's your register. Okay.
That is the reference movie for my rating these movies. What I will say is this.
Uh-huh.
This movie was so much fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was so cool to see Deadpool and Wolverine together and their relationship
Yes.
and really how they didn't get along in the beginning. That was
Right.
really
Right.
cool to see. Dude, the fight scene in the car,
Yeah, man. Epic.
fire,
Epic.
fire. The fact that you
Epic.
can have that entertaining of a fight scene enclosed in a small car, oh
Right.
man, it was incredible. When
Right.
Hugh put the mask on for the first time,
That did it for me. Woo.
dude, dude, I was like, why did it take 24 years for
Which
us
he
to get
jokes
this?
about in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, dude, what are we doing? Um,
Right.
Now the parts that I rated negatively
All right,
for
let's hear it. Let's
were
hear it.
Cassandra Nova.
Yeah.
I don't like when she could have just killed everybody just
Yeah.
because.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it,
Hmm.
it gets weird when you take a character of that. She's a powerful character.
She's Omega level mutant. Yeah.
She's
Mm-hmm.
Omega level,
Mm-hmm.
and you bring her in. Really, she was really just a plot device at the end of the day. Like she
Mm-hmm.
served no purpose. There was no motivation for her. She didn't really show out the way that she could have shown. Like she could have snapped her fingers and everybody
Mm-hmm.
would have disappeared, right? We
Yeah.
saw what she
Yeah.
did to Chris Evans' Human
Yeah.
Torch,
Oh
right?
man, poor Johnny.
Poor Johnny, man, which was hilarious, by the way. So the villain was a little weird. Um,
Hmm.
the when they brought all the Deadpools out,
Yeah, yeah,
it was really just so they could chop some people up.
yeah.
That's really
It
all it was for. It was a cool fight scene, and it was
was
cool to see
cool though, right?
Wolverine. It was cool
Yeah.
to see. And the other thing was, it didn't resolve anything for me.
What you mean?
Well, I know it was a love letter to the Fox universe,
Hmm.
but I don't know what this does for the MCU moving forward.
Okay. Because we didn't get the normal usually at the end with these characters, they'll say somebody's returning, like for Guardians of Volume 3, the legendary Star-Lord will return, or Shang-Chi will return. We didn't get a
Yeah,
Deadpool or Wolverine will return. So that I guess that kind of does dangle it out there, like, okay, so are they connecting? Are they going to be part of the main? Because if I understand, you know, this was their timeline. This wasn't the
yeah,
sacred timeline. He just showed
right.
up in the sacred timeline to just try to be an Avenger, and then he went
Yeah,
back home.
that
Okay.
was it.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
And
Okay.
and technically the Fox universe is still there.
Mm, yeah. Okay.
It didn't go anywhere. He left
Because
to save it, and he saved it.
and he saved it because they somehow, I guess that Logan ended up being their anchored being. Yeah.
Right. So
Okay. But I'm gonna
those
be
were the
honest.
things.
I didn't pay attention too much to it because there was so much going on that I was revving up on, like, yo, okay, let's
Yeah.
go. Wesley Snipes
Yeah.
is back, and
Yeah.
Channing Tatum finally got to be Gambit in some type of way, some type of
Listen,
capacity.
I came out of this movie being so glad that we did not get a Channing Tatum Gambit movie.
All right, I'm gonna be honest, like 10%, because it's the same 10%. It's just curiosity when we
Yeah.
saw the Flash and we saw Nicolas Cage as Superman. Like, this kind of looks terrible, but now out of curiosity, can we see what it would actually look like?
Right.
I
Right.
mean, like that accent was horrible.
It was terrible. And I know
Remy
it was
LeBeau.
yeah, I know it was purposeful because it was comedy. But like he just didn't, like Gambit
Yeah.
got swag, bro. Like
Oh,
Gambit got some cool to him.
yeah,
And
without a doubt.
he just came across so cheesy and so he did some cool Gambit things now with the
Nah,
car
come on.
now.
Nah, that was
I'll
dope.
give him
Yeah,
that. I'll
yeah,
give him
yeah,
that. And he didn't
yeah.
look like Gambit to me. Which
Nah,
I know all of this stuff is probably on purpose, but
right, right, right.
he just out he worked for the movie. I'm glad that's it. I don't want to see
That's
him again. I don't want to see him again. Which I guess they didn't die though.
because you think about, because X-23, she was at the end
She
of the
was there.
movie. So
Yeah,
you're
she
thinking
showed
like they
up.
might have still survived.
Yeah,
Mm.
maybe they're just still in the what I forgot what it's called.
And how about Wesley Snipes' little
Great.
dialogue line? Well, he had two of them. One time there's only going to be one blade, and
Yeah,
from what I'm understanding, that was like, okay, because right now the current Blade, which is supposed to be played by Mahershala Ali, it's in, as they call it, production heck or
yeah,
limbo.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So many delays. They keep losing actors, and I mean, not actors,
Directors and
directors,
writers,
directors.
yeah,
Yeah,
writers
yeah.
too. Yeah,
So he's talking about it's going to be one Blade. I mean, you might be right. I mean, that's supposed to be part of the lineup for the Marvel movies leading up
yeah,
to Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars. Will we get it? Who knows?
yeah. Who knows? I
He,
loved when Blaze told Deadpool he was like, "I don't like you" or "I hate you" or something like that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Deadpool was like, "You always have," because there was rumors that in Blade 3,
yes,
him and Ryan Reynolds did not get along. So I thought
yeah.
that was really cool. I'm gonna tell you what I really came away. I have I got a respect for Ryan Reynolds, bro,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because clearly he loves this character.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Clearly he's perfectly cast for this character.
I mean, without a doubt.
And the wherewithal and business savvy to say, forget about the relationship. We don't have to like each other, but this will be a huge moment for not just the
Yeah.
movie itself, but for the fans.
Oh man, yeah.
I have a huge respect for Ryan Reynolds. I really do. And I don't know him personally, obviously. He might be the worst person on the face of the earth. But in terms of what I do know from him, I got
Yeah.
a huge respect for him. And he's really done, I think he's done wonders with the Deadpool character because going back to when Deadpool first came around, I wasn't sure how you do this movie. And I didn't know how you do a movie like Deadpool and it be this successful.
Right.
Because he's
Right.
such a raunchy character, right? And
Oh,
he's
all the
such,
way.
like, honestly, like, there are things that happen in Deadpool movies that I would never watch, purposely go sit down and watch.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
he does it in a way that is entertaining, is true to the character. And then he figured out a formula, man. He figured out a way to present this in this way so it can be a massive success.
And he cares like so much about this character, you know, and it's not like it's just another role for him to play. Like you can tell in the work that's being done. And the dude is Ryan Reynolds is a savvy business dude. Like, dude,
Crazy.
this thing, I don't know if there was Marvel behind this or it was him or maybe both, but man, this thing was marketed like crazy, man.
Well, you know, that's his thing. That's his thing. Like he owns Mint Mobile.
Right.
It's all about marketing. He had the aviation vodka that he ended up selling for like $1 billion or something ridiculous. And I don't know if you saw this, but Vanity Fair, they have this lie detection thing. They'll do this show, and he and Hugh Jackman were on it. And Hugh Jackman asked if he had anything to do with that test footage being leaked. And he was like, I may have had a hand in it. And so, yeah, that's his thing, man. Like marketing, and he has a show. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Welcome to Wrexham.
So I've heard about it. I mean, probably an understatement would say it's centered around soccer.
It's centered around soccer, but what it is, he and Rob McElhenney, who is on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Always Sunny. Now that I've seen, yeah.
So they bought a small soccer team in Wrexham. It's in Wales. And the show is about them building that team up. And I mean, there's, the things that they got to do in order for the squad to move up in league and get more opportunities. But it's really showing them build this team, man. And it's the coolest thing in the world. And it really makes you, savvy business person, but but he also, and it could all be for the camera. But it seems like he cares, man. Like he cares about people. He cares about the product. He cares about all of that stuff. And so I think you feel that from these, Brian. You feel that there's love in these. It kind of makes me wonder why they don't do this with all of these superheroes.
Right. And everybody, and the cameos, everybody's saying yes to him. Like you got Chris Evans to come back to the Marvel universe. I mean, not as Cap, mind you, but he came back. Period. I think I read where he said, if it was anybody else, it might have been but it was Ryan.
Yeah, that's it, dude. The fact that you can get Wesley Snipes to come back, or you can get Jennifer Garner to come back and take a dig at Ben Affleck, and it'd be okay.
That was fun. Bro, I don't know what I'd done had he strolled up in his Daredevil suit. Like, what else they got?
Yeah, that would have been cool, man. But yeah, overall, man, I did like the movie. I thought it was really, really good. And I didn't give it a 10. I gave it an 8.3, but an 8.3 is a high score. It's a very high score.
I mean, in Trey's world, yes.
That's a high score, man. It's tough to get an 8 from me. It's tough to get an 8 from me. So yeah, man. I mean, listen, again, I think that Marvel feels like they're not back, but they feel like they're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
I feel like they've taken the criticism of the fans, the lack of commercial and critical success over the last couple of years with the movies. It seems like they heard loud and clear that people wanted a return to the basics. And it seems like, I don't know that you can get any more return to basics than bringing the Russos back and bringing Robert Downey Jr. back in. And so Kevin Feige, if nothing else, it feels like he listens. Now, it's all for business purposes. We understand that.
Right.
But it seems like he's listening. So,
so we'll see.
We'll see. So with that, listen, once again, thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for really back to back. We've seen the most views we've ever seen on videos, and it's just the beginning. So we couldn't thank you any more than this.
What a blessing. Thank you.
We appreciate it so much that for free, we're going to give you the opportunity to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that notification bell. With that being said, for Josh, my name is Trey. This is Retcon Comics.
Retcon.
Let's go.
Peace out.